Thank you, Spencer. We look forward to going into the next session. Coming up now, we have a fireside chat, which is going to be between Scott Hanson, CEO of Limestone, and Bruce who is Bruce Nurse, who's head of investor relations with Vision Marine Technology. Hello, Scott and Bruce. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning, Justin. Thank you.
Good morning, Justin. Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. So we're talking about a pretty exciting, area in the space right now when it comes to boating, looking at EV craft, and it seems like everything has, of course, like at this point, you'd be hard pressed to come up with something that isn't impacted by the pandemic that happened in 2020, and definitely the trajectory of the adoption of electric vehicles were impacted. There was some suggestion in 2020 that people were slowing down in their technology, but they also, the overall industry for electric boats is set at $5 billion for this year, but they're projecting $10 billion for next year. What do you think is driving all? Obviously, this is a place where you're putting a major focus right now. What do you think it has changed about user needs or behaviors that's helping to drive this demand?
I can take that question. Again, Bruce Nurse with Vision Marine Technologies. Justin, as you indicated, we're seeing a tremendous increase in electric technology, not just for the electric vehicles. And we're all aware of Tesla and what Tesla has brought to the marketplace. But you're looking at the Biden-Harris green energy bill, the infrastructure bill. We're all talking about electric, and it's really a consumer mindset. It's that environmental consciousness that the consumer is driving the demand for electric. There is really no one out there that is providing electric technology in the water space, in the marine industry. And that's what Vision Marine Technology is providing through our battery technology. And we're fortunate to be partnered with Limestone Boats to provide that technology for their product.
Mm-hmm. And Scott, in terms of what Limestone's doing, can you explain for our viewers what it is that you're bringing to electric watercraft that wasn't possible before?
Thank you very much, Justin. We're excited, really, and I was about the opportunity because I've always been a believer as a yacht designer and engineer and a head of Limestone Boats is that we need to bring not just electric power, which has been around for many, many years, to what I want to call parasol boats and boats that move around the pond at 3 to 10 knots. But rather, we needed to bring it to big water performance. There's, a huge percentage of our industry that is out on the lakes, the rivers, the oceans, and coastal boating. We're not talking about electric power for those guys going 50 miles offshore just yet, but we'll get there. Was how can we bring reliability and confidence being the most important thing in terms of safety, security, and confidence? If I'm going to go up and down the waterway with my kids and my grandkids, I need to know that I can do it with confidence, not only in terms of my power source, but also in terms of the boat that I'm in. And so our excitement was looking at the evolution of Vision, the power technology and their outboard, because outboard is the preferred choice of power in recreational boating today, as we see from the statistics every day and every year, pre-COVID and within COVID, is that our quest as a company, it is the third pillar in terms of our strategic goals as a company, and has been for some time, is to embrace and bring EV technology to big water performance with confidence and reliability, and an average speed and an average playtime, if you want to think of it that, on the water.
So is this meant to bring more sustainability to boating as essentially like a hobby activity in order to control what we expect to be increasing costs? Is it meant to address carbon emissions? What's kind of the immediate goal for the technology you're rolling out now?
I think the reality is you're going to, like in automotive, you're going to get your early adopters that have a mindset, as Bruce talked about, that are more conscious and concerned about the environment that we play in. There's certainly those of us, our customers that are on the water, are always cognizant of that. And so if I can do that and have less of an impact on the environment in which I play and create memories, I mean, it's all about creating memories in the boating and lifestyle industry. And if I can do that and feel better about how I'm doing that and my impact on the environment, they're those that are going to adopt it. As long as we can give them a product and an experience with confidence and safety and security, then they'll embrace it. Yes, is it going to come at a premium just like automotive did in the early stages? Yes. As battery technology improves and as battery density or power density improves, then we're going to just increase and improve on the offering that we have for the recreational boating market. It's just important, I think, to be on that curve, not behind it as a company and as a manufacturer. And as a manufacturer that has 3 heritage and legacy brands that cater to the recreational boating public from the Northeast to the South and to the Gulf Coast and here in the Great Lakes, is that, I shouldn't say that I'm sitting in Vancouver today, so I'm sitting on the Pacific Ocean, but is that, I think Vision Marine as a partner, for me, what was exciting is that they see it as the total holistic thing. It's not just about an outboard engine. It's about the outboard engine. It's the integration into the systems. It's the performance of that lower unit. It's the performance of the battery. The challenge to us as boat manufacturers and designers is operationalizing and building arrangements around it that support the lifestyle of recreational boating, but they're bringing battery power into the environment in a safe way that gives the boater the confidence that they can go where they want to go and get back.
And Scott, if I can add to that, and that's fantastic. And one of the things that at Vision Marine is doing is we're educating the consumer that there is a solution to the fossil fuel engine. And electric power on the water has been around for many, many years. You look at Duffy boats down in Newport Beach in Southern California, where, as Scott mentioned, 3, 5, 6 miles an hour, just a little putt-putt, in essence, a golf cart on the water.
Sure.
And what we have found out, it's an educational process to the consumer that there is power with electric, and that's what we're providing to the consumers, and through products with Limestone boats, where they're going to have the power and speed. The consumer is going to be able to get out there and run that motor at 50, 60 miles an hour, be able to bring up that wakeboard or water skier. So again, it's an educational process. It's the environmental consciousness from the consumer that's driving electric to the waterways.
Well, of course, that makes sense. I mean, certainly a lot of people are on board with the idea of wanting to, treat the environment more carefully. But what is changing, Bruce, in terms of the user experience? I mean, going back to the late 70s, early 80s, I remember there'd be like magazine format TV segments that would show somebody's electric boat. And what you see is essentially somebody's little concept boat, vehicle taking on a course. I remember them from because I'm super old. I remember so we were talking about it for a long time. It's not exactly a new disruptive idea in and of itself. But what has changed about the overall experience, about your ability to charge, about your ability to use these things? I mean, what's making it, in terms of technology or even regulation, is making it a newer experience that more people can be open to?
Well, good points, good questions. It really comes down to the cost of these batteries, right? For many years, the cost of lithium was expensive. So it was difficult to bring the cost down for batteries to put into these electric vehicles or outboard motor. So what we have done, of course, with lithium prices coming off, being agnostic to batteries a lot more efficient and effective today, that allows us to provide that product to the various manufacturers. But from the user experience, as we all have experienced on any power boat, whether it's inboard or outboard that's fossil fuel driven, you've got the sound of it, the noise associated, you've got the smell associated to it. With electric technology and what we're providing to the industry is it's noiseless. So you and I can be having a conversation on the back of a boat going 20, 30 miles an hour as we're having the conversation now. And more importantly, from what I've heard, is the smell. We don't smell any gas or diesel. We're not seeing anything going into the water at all. So those are experiences that the consumer is going to find, in addition to the power and speed that a lot of the consumers want.
Mhm. Do you find that consumers actually want the vroom vroom noise? Because it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think they'll miss the smell, but I know that early electric car manufacturers experimented with adding a noise to it because it was too quiet.
Right. I disagree. I think from the environmental standpoint, a lot of people are looking at ways of reducing the sound, reducing the noise. I've talked to folks from the Pacific Northwest all the way down to Florida, and they're concerned with the noise associated. And it's not just the noise that's out there and affecting the consumer or the individual on the water itself. It's the marine life. And, we've spoken to people in the Pacific Northwest that have said the noise associated to these fossil fuel engines are causing environmental damage to the marine life.
Sure.
So beyond the erosion to the shorelines, beyond the oil and gas in the waterways, it's that noise that's affecting the marine life. So I think you're seeing individuals, consumers wanting a reduction in noise.
Okay, sure. So Scott, are we seeing with advances in electric boat technology, are we seeing is this more accessible to a wider number of users? Do we see it going that way? How are we making it easier for people to be able to participate? How are we making it better for them?
I think the technology that Vision offers overcomes some of the barriers to sale. What are the expectations on the consumer side in terms of recreational coastal boating? If we look at their behaviors, they want to know that I can come down to the boat. It's easy, just like I might historically pull up to the gas dock and fill my boat with gas and know I can go out for 2 or 3 hours of boating. I want to know that I can plug it in. Well, you've got infrastructure, unlike automotive, in many, many marinas around North America already have power at dockside. Not power just at a station like you might go to your Tesla supercharging station. No, there's power at dockside right at my boat. It's there to provide shore power already in many environments. So the infrastructure is there. So that obstacle's taken off the table for them. The next thing is okay, I've got my kids and my grandkids, and we're going to go out. We're going to go out to Block Island in terms of the Northeast, and I want to know that I've got the necessary power to get my boat up on plane, that I probably want to cruise at 20 to 23 miles an hour. My actual operating time in the boat, it might be an hour out. We're going to picnic at the beach. We're going to play. We're going to do some things. Maybe we're going to tube and wakeboard with the grandkids, and then we're going to jump in the boat and we're going to go back to the marina. And I can plug my boat in. It's quiet, it's safe, it's reliable. I can go with confidence, and I've got, reserve power in the tank, so to speak, in terms of my batteries. So for us as a manufacturer, it's giving the consumer the option. Yes, they're going to be required to pay a premium. That's that. But there's a cost benefit over time. It's about, I think, as Bruce said, it's a responsibility on the part of us as an OEM manufacturer, whether we put an internal combustion engine outboard on the back because that's what the market wants today, or tomorrow in greater numbers, we're starting to put an EV. We're bolting one or the other. The challenge for us is educating the customer, equipping the dealer with what they need to educate the customer, doing it at retail, doing it at shows, continuing to do those kind of things so that they see the cost benefit of the upfront investment, not unlike 20 years ago, those of us in the boat business that drive diesel trucks. I've got to put a lot of money up front and I get it over time in terms of the diesel truck. It's educating them to understand that and instilling the confidence, because it's a little different than, running out of power on the side of the highway versus running, as I've heard from consumers, running out of power 10 miles offshore or 10 miles away from home. There's a little uncertainty. Yes, we have the equivalents of CAA and AAA on the water, and they're there to help us as boaters and the boating public. But it's education, it's confidence, but there certainly is appetite and demand. When I talk to our 50 plus distributors in North America, i.e. retailers, and you talk about there's a lot of excitement behind our partnership with Vision and looking to see that outboard power, which in electric, as for the reasons that Bruce has talked about, recognize I'm going to pay a premium, but the proof's going to be in the pudding in terms of us demonstrating that confidence to them and instilling that confidence in them.
So how common are these charging stations, though? I would think if you look at some of these individual docks, I'm influenced by knowing the shoreline along Massachusetts pretty well. A lot of the filling stations are really relatively small. Are they equipped and ready to let people charge, or if they let you plug it in charge, are they set up to bill you for that? I mean, one thing that Tesla undoubtedly did, which is as much a marketing move as it is an infrastructure, is by creating all of those only for their vehicle charging stations, which they caught a little bit of criticisms for. But they created certainly a lot of them, enough that you come across them. What, in terms of infrastructure, what's there in terms of where people can charge now? How common is this?
Scott, would you like me to take that?
Sure, if you want, Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can jump in because you know as well. Every marina has an outlet, whether it's a 110 or 220. With our unit, our outboard motor, which we call e-motion powertrain, has an onboard charger. So unlike Tesla, unlike most of the EVs out there where you need a special device to plug in, ours is just plug and go. So it's a 110, 220, you're going to charge a lot faster, but every marina has a outlet because most ICE engines on any boat out there has battery to run their communication system, to run their entertainment system. So you do need to recharge that battery. For us, you plug in 110, 220, and you're ready to go the next day.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the pandemic, there are a lot of supply chain issues that have been created by the pandemic that have come about this year, including access to the materials that make lithium batteries, for example. Has this slowed down production in any way? Has this impacted the EV boating world?
Well, supply chain has impacted everyone. And I'm not going to say that it has not impacted us at all. Fortunately, it hasn't been extreme or severe for us. It has delayed us some, but we're agnostic to batteries. So we utilize 5 different battery companies. So we know that there is enough product out there when required that we can utilize the various batteries. I don't, lithium and cobalt and all the minerals that are put into these batteries. There is an issue there, but it hasn't slowed the demand, and it hasn't slowed our requirement for the batteries at any time.
Mm-hmm. So, Scott, who is the ideal user? Who are we envisioning? Who is this especially for? Obviously, it's not for the longshoremen. It's not for a commercial fisherman or somebody, taking steel from Japan to the U.S., for example. We're not there yet. So, yes. So who is it for?
It's your recreational boater, weekend warrior. It could be a coastal fisherman, which is one of the reasons, one of the products that we've shipped up to Vision for retrofitting is a very conventional, one of our brands in terms of a coastal center console type 21-foot fishing boat. That's the sweet spot in terms of volume in the marketplace, as well as other things. So it's whether I'm a recreational boater, I'm a trailer boater, whether I'm somebody that I think the primary market in the short term, those that have the appetite and the capacity financially to invest in the long-term benefit of EV technology and outboard is going to be probably your waterfront property owner, your cottager, those kinds of people that get tremendous use out of their boats on a day-to-day basis, that their behavior is such that they're looking for 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 hours of operating time at an average reasonable speed. They're not looking to, they are power hungry and they are speed hungry in North America. So we're obviously cognizant of that. But your coastal boater, your lake boater is going to cruise at an average speed. Give them 3 to 4 hours of operating time so that the recharge needs are not impeding their behavior. But they're early adopters of automotive technology. I mean, if I look at some of our top 10 dealers in North America, they look at their clientele, they've put in chargers for their Teslas and their EV boats. So those are ideal distributors of ours who probably are the early ones that stepped up and said, hey, we'd like to be knowledgeable and we'd like to market this to our customers because they've got their Tesla sitting in the parking lot,
right? And
or to go out to their lake house or to go out to their beachfront home. And I think those are going to be your early adopters in the curve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're adding Tesla charging stations next to their boat charging stations.
Well, your marine operators are putting in their own independent charging stations.
Hmm.
I think, as Bruce said earlier, one of the things to really keep in mind here is that I don't need a supercharging station. In most cases of marinas today, whether it's a small marina along the coast or a large operation with thousands of boat slips, is that at dockside, where I park my boat, I already have 220 or 120 power sitting there to plug in, because in most instances in my boat of 25 plus, I'm already have shore power going to my boat. The nice thing about Vision technology is there's an onboard charger. So I simply have to use existing infrastructure to connect my boat to it, and it's going to charge my battery pack. So next time I want to go boating, I'm ready to go.
Okay. So are we all looking for who is going to be the Tesla of the water? Are you guys looking to be are you looking to create that phenomenon? And what does it take?
What does it take? Well, the beauty of Vision Marine Technologies is we're the only electric technology company on the water that is well funded. So we were fortunate enough to do an IPO last November, raise $27.5 million. So we're well capitalized. What it's going to take is, you got the manufacturers like Limestone that is more progressive than most. You've got all manufacturers looking at ways of bringing electric to their consumers through their dealer network. But more importantly, from an environmental standpoint, if you look at what's happening in Europe and take that and see what's going to happen here in North America, you've got states, municipalities, cities that are looking at banning or at least restricting ICE engines on their waterways. So I think that movement here in North America is going to continue. And I believe it's going to actually increase tremendously over the next few years, where you've got the restrictions of ICE engines. So really the only option is electric technology through Limestone boats or Vision Marine Technology.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We're actually just slightly over time. And thank you to Scott Hanson, CEO of Limestone Boats, and Bruce Nurse, Business Development and Investor Relations for Vision Marine Technologies. I really appreciate both of you taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for your interest, Justin.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.